Okay, what I'm going to be showing you right now is Midi and how it's useful in modern day metal and production music. A lot of people, that aren't engineers, that haven't been in the industry, as far as the technical aspect of it, don't know what Midi is. Some people are a little confused. It can be confusing. It's on the back of interfaces, computers, beat machines, keyboards, a lot of stuff. What the hell is Midi? People ask me all the time. So basically, the simplest answer to that is it's basically just a interface of sorts, basically just sending signal into your computer, or sequencers and stuff like that. What it comes down to is, it's just a way to transfer data. That's all it is. I have many MIDI, oriented things that I use in the studio as far as trigger sets and MIDI key controllers. So, let me show you this right here. This is a MIDI controller. It's basically a piano. It's about $80. It's an M audio controller. It's just kind of generic keys, stuff like that. All it really does is send signal into the computer via MIDI. Just kind of a signal generating basically a note on each note that I hit on this keyboard. So basically, I'll hit any kind of thing on this, and it'll correspond to a device in the computer. You can have a drum set, like the cheesy ones where the C note is a kick drum, and the snare drum is the B note, stuff like that. Or you can correspond it to an actual piano, synth, anything of that sort. So that's all MIDI really comes down to. The benefit to that is you can actually track in to audio interfaces, stuff like that, without having to buy straight up pianos and Triton LEs, which those keyboards, they're pretty awesome. They have MIDI outputs and a onboard sound computer, but to be honest, they go for about $1,500 when you can get a plug-in and an $80 keyboard for about 80 bucks, plus the plug-in for, who knows, maybe another 50, 60, depends which one you find. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to import one of my favorite, I add kind of piano type stuff. So I'm going to go to channel, add one, and then, it's personal orchestra. Company's pretty good. So basically, it's going to be adding it, and you see this kind of blank keyboard. So if you watch this, I got a MIDI keyboard in the studio. I'm hitting it. You see the notes right there. So stuff's going down. I'm just hitting notes. Of course, you're not hearing anything because I haven't designated anything as far as in this computer. But basically, what I'm doing right now is you're watching me send MIDI data into my computer, to correspond to whatever I decided it is. So now what I'm going to mention too is it's really cool to incorporate this if you can get kind of interface and get the MIDI handled in your computer. It's really cool to be able to bring up crazy kinds of stuff at a click of a button, without having to track it or bring one in. And most people already know about this kind of stuff, but MIDI's just very versatile. So I gotta definitely suggest you get something like that. Here what I'm doing right now is I'm actually adding basically organ kind of thing, a creepy sounding organ controller into my computer. So now, basically I'm going to command it with MIDI. So what I'm doing is, I'm just hitting some notes, and you can hear that, I'll turn it up a little bit. So now I got a full-on organ, with some basic, kind of notes that I'm hitting. But yeah, you could do all types of stuff. Just messing around, stuff like that, all at a click of a button. So, MIDI is going in, MIDI is controlling this, so don't get too confused as far as what MIDI is. It's basically just a controller. Think of it, if you took one of those Radio Shack, keyboards with the cheesy sounds, it's pretty thick, it's kind of a fat keyboard type thing. But imagine sawing it in half. Basically a controller is the key part, but without some kind of software or something to make sounds, that would be useless. You wouldn't hear anything. So that's basically all you're doing. Instead of buying a $1,500 keyboard, with the sounds built into the keyboard, you're actually buying a controller and then just downloading and getting these things. So basically this is acting, the computer is acting as your, full-on MIDI rig. Very cheap compared to, the possibilities of buying a piano or throwing down on some of these super high-end kind of piano stuff. A lot of live applications too. I've seen a lot of groups come through, with keyboards, and what they end up doing is, they have a Macintosh or a kind of a laptop type stuff with all these MIDI sequencings, things set up. So a lot of them just straight up bring a $80 controller and just turn on their computer and play these gigs. So, and the cool thing is, I can also with this channel is I added this controller. MIDI can go into anything. I'll click any of these channels, and obviously I wouldn't have to play piano for a kick drum. But yeah, I mean, you can enter any of that stuff. If I really wanted to, I could get live, hit record. I'm just playing some random shit. Yeah, sure, that was awesome. So I just hit record, hit play, tracked all that MIDI data, and that sounded really terrible, but it's all data right here. I tracked it in real time. It's all enabled, there, and I can push it forward. You can also do the quantize, which I've talked about a few times. Let's quick quantize that. It'll kind of push it more in. It evens it out a little bit. I mean, it still sounds crappy, but it's pretty cool. So, if you were to track in MIDI, with anything, you could easily just kind of pencil in and fix some of this stuff. So you could do all versatile type stuff. But yeah, definitely beneficial, especially with keys and stuff like that. When you track, just as opposed to doing it in real time, you just once again record, enable, do this. I'm gonna play something. And I just kind of messed that up on purpose, but let's play that back again. So see right there, I kind of double tapped a note. So fuck that note. And that didn't sound too good. Yeah, sure, that one works. To be honest, I kind of want a little low end there, so I'm going to kind of copy this, paste it in the low end, which was, where is it? There we go. I'm kind of too stuttered, so let's go ahead and, yeah, still, kind of need some work, but you can do. So I mean, it gets better as you mess with it, but it just shows the kind of the versatility of tracking live, MIDI data, and then if you do mess up once, you can kind of push that into place. So that's kind of a beneficial thing in modern day recording, as opposed to sitting and playing over and over again until you get it right. So, cool little thing to add to your studio or just to your knowledge bank there. So, a lot easier to get stuff done.